All right, so you're probably like, why do you assume diminishing marginal product? Does it actually happen in the real world? And the answer is typically yes. Um, so you can imagine that the first worker in the real world that you hire is going to be more productive than the second worker than you hire, and the second worker is going to be more productive than the 100th worker that you hire. Because you're as you go further and further into hiring, um, the role that the first workers, uh, you know, role that the first worker's filling is probably the most important role. The second worker is probably filling the second most important role. The 100th worker is probably filling, less important role. Just it is the way it is. If if they were filling a more important role, why did we wait till the 100th person to fill it? Um, and then like sometimes, like in the real world, if you have too many cooks in the kitchen, it could actually decrease the value of the product, right? Right? They say too many cooks spoils the broth. Um, Now I have that song stuck in my head, and if you don't know what song I'm talking about, you're better for it. But there's a too many cooks song. Just derailed me. But anyway, uh, theoretically, you could understand why, uh, or maybe you can't, but I feel like it makes sense why the first employee would probably have more product, more output than the 100th employee. And that's not to say that the 100th employee isn't valuable, just that they're, filling a role that is not as important. And, maybe when they show their merit, they'll be promoted to what the first employee was doing before. Who knows? Uh, Back in my first economics class, they actually demonstrated marginal product, um, physically, where they had people making different like origami, like basic origami, something that anybody could do, but they had each person doing like a little sliver of a roll, and uh, the first person was able to do a good job. The second person added to the output a lot. Third person added to the output as well. The fourth person, by then it was like there's too many people with too many jobs, and the fifth person, whatever. After a certain point in time, it actually did slow down. So it's not. It actually didn't follow. It didn't follow this because it started to decrease, um, which is also an assumption. There's nothing fundamental that says that having more labor will always increase your product. It shouldn't, though. It should. Otherwise, what is that person doing? Um, but at any rate, it worked out in real life where as you hired or as you employed more people to help fold, it eventually became too many people, and the overall overall output actually did decrease. It didn't just slow down per person. Okay, but seeing as I don't have a class to do that with, and seeing as that's actually very time consuming, I wanted to just do. If this was the first example that I thought of when I created these slides, um, it was just like I don't know. My friend was talking about horror movies, and I'm like, okay, what about this? Use this as my market of analysis as their diminishing marginal product. So I went ahead and I gathered the budgets and the grosses for all wide release horror movies from 2015 and 2016 when I originally created these slides. Actually, I think I created them in 2017 when the year was over, but whatever. Okay. So we have a bunch of movies, and we have the input, which is the budget. Okay. So this is the overall inputs. Okay. And this is the output. This is the gross. Okay. So it's not like the technical output. The technical output would be the physical DVD or physical movie release. But tell that to a movie producer. So as far as the movie producer is concerned, the gross should be the proxy for what the output is. It's essentially their version of um, quality adjusted uh, minutes, essentially. So it's the minutes of output times the quality of the output. As far as they're concerned, that's what they're trying to maximize is their gross minus their budget. Okay. So as far as the producer is concerned, the product is the gross. It's not the movie itself. You might disagree. You might say that the critic score might be the product, but I don't I don't know what to tell you. I think most economists would look at the gross as the product too. So unless they're looking at some specialized thing, whatever. Anyway, so you have the why does my arrow keep going away? So you have the gross here. So this is essentially the product created, as far as the producers are concerned, and you have the budget, which would be the input. So this is a stand-in for, the cost of the cameras and the set locations and the special effects and paying the actors and paying the director and all that. That's all those inputs are encapsulated into the budget. All the outputs are encapsulated into the gross. Okay. So if we take the gross to budget, so gross divided by budget, we get this rate here, which is basically your total output divided by your total input. Okay. And just looking, and sorry, I have this organized from lowest budget to highest budget. So if this is your graph, like this is your production function, okay. So your budget would be on the X, your gross would be on the Y, and a movie like The Lazarus Effect would be down here. The Witch would be over here, which was a great movie, by the way. Lights Out, also a pretty good movie, be over here. And, 10 Cloverfield Lane would be over here, which is also a fantastic movie. Purge 3 was probably the best on here, so go watch Purge 3. Krampus was great too. I guess I've seen most of these. But anyway, so that would be like, as you go further down here, you're going further to the right on the graph. Okay. And in general, if you're looking at the gross, these are actually decreasing, but overall, the gross should be increasing. Movies are hit or miss, but in general, the product should be increasing. But if we take the gross to budget, so basically this is the ratio of output to input. This is essentially a stand-in for your marginal product for your budget. Okay, so it's basically like a stand-in for that. Okay. Sorry. And so the gross to budget, as we increase and increase, on average, it looks like it's decreasing. So it's going from 7.8, which is a high gross for a low budget. And as you add to your budget, the ratio of gross to budget is decreasing. Okay. And I do it again for, even higher budget products. And look, as you increase your budget to 58 million, the gross to budget ratio is pretty damn low. Okay. So just adding to your budget it might increase your revenue. Like this 80 million is better than anything over here besides Split, I guess. So you're increasing your overall product, but you're decreasing it on a marginal product of your budget ratio, or your marginal product rate. So that's decreasing. So to recap, it does look like this. Okay. In general, gross is increasing, but it's increasing at a lower rate, so that at this point here, at Goosebumps, the slope is going to be like 2.3, whereas at this point here, the slope is going to be like 5.6. Okay. And at earlier points, it's going to be like 7.8. So very high. Okay. So diminishing marginal product holds for this particular market. Go figure. Okay. If you want, you can check the releases for 2019, 2020. 2019 or 2020 is kind of a weird year. Check it for a different year, but see if it works out. All right.